Guys, thank you all for being here. I'm here to just answer any questions concerning the increase in crime that we've seen within the Midtown area and concerning the community meeting that took place last night. Quite frankly, I thought it was a good meeting. I was glad to have the mayor there to talk specifically around certain areas. We have a significant operation plan that we've implemented. Last night we were able to make some significant arrests in the area. Part 1 crimes were significantly down overnight. We look at overall crime every morning, and we'll continue to do that. We've implemented a plan, and we're prepared to continue to do this throughout the year. It's really part of our community, that's part of our holiday plan. Our holiday plan was just implemented it early. Generally, we go to our holiday plan the first weekend of Thanksgiving, and we've just implemented it early and included some overtime in our general fund budget that we have in place for that, and we'll extend that throughout the rest of the year. Not just in this community, but in areas that we're having concerns and hot spots throughout the year.
So when the mayor mentioned that he was increasing overtime, was this what he was referring to, or when he made that statement, what is this overtime?
This is part of the operational plan that we have in place. It is an increase in overtime. Any additional spend that we have, our particular holiday plan would have started only after November, and we've just increased that time and moved it forward so that we're having our officers deployed even now. We started yesterday, actually Wednesday, with the plan, and we'll continue it throughout the rest of the year.
Any leads, Chief, on these 3 who accosted this mother?
Well, we're still working that. We're encouraging the media to continue to push that story for us through our Crime Stoppers. There's an increase in the amount of funds that we've made available through Crime Stoppers to pay that so that we can get this solved. The investigators are working aggressively with that, so we're looking for any and all leads that the community would provide for us to follow up on.
Chief, that $25,000, is that all coming from Crime Stoppers?
Well, it's a combination. Crime Stoppers, obviously it'll go through Crime Stoppers. How the dollars will come through is a good question. That money will, whatever donations that will come through, it'll actually come through Crime Stoppers so that we can pay it anonymously to the tipsters.
Because $25,000 is significantly more than Crime Stoppers ever puts out, even for murders.
That's correct. Now, what happens with that, we have the ability to increase that on any particular crime. The mayor made a comment that he thought it was significant that we needed to move this forward at a higher level, and I think that it's important for us to do that. How we do that and how we get those additional dollars will come in through additional donations from that community, from those businesses, but ultimately it'll come through Crime Stoppers.
What would you say to the other communities who maybe have had crime in their area, murders even, and that kind of money is never offered?
Well, that's not true. We've increased Crime Stoppers awards to $25,000 in previous times. Obviously, anytime there's high-profile situations that we have to deal with, we want any and all efforts that this community will provide for us and the leads that we can follow up on. So this is not a one community over the next. We have an issue here that's very, very high profile that we want to get it solved. If these additional dollars will increase the input from information coming in, it will be a benefit to that community, but I am sure that that is not the only crime that this individual participated in.
Can you talk directly to our viewers, especially the parents, because in this case, the mother told me all 3 appeared to be teenagers. Can you talk about how particularly parents may be able to help and do this anonymously in terms of giving you information on what these kids are doing?
Well, clearly, through the Crime Stoppers network, anyone can call and provide information without giving their identity. We think that we've had a tremendous increase in the number of folk giving us information. If you look at the clear-up numbers for all of our crimes in the city of Atlanta, our clear-up numbers are 20% above the national average because we have good response from communities in these kinds of leads. So we want to encourage not just those parents or those young folks' parents that will call, but anyone that have information, that they will be able to remain anonymous when they provide those tips. But you raised another question, Morris. what do we do around these young males that are out on the streets creating and causing harm in our city? We have to make sure that people are held accountable for the actions that they provide and they perpetrate in our city. I think we have to think about what we do about the parents that these young folks are related to after they've been captured in the act of committing crimes. And so we are working to try to figure that out as well, how to hold those parents accountable.
Chief, when you talk about overtime, and this is part of the holiday plan, but it's starting earlier, can you address the fact overtime, officers will say that's great, it's extra money, but also you're adding on the fatigue factor of officers on the street working longer hours. How do you respond to that?
Well, we really do have an accountability on how we deploy our people. There's a mandate of a specific amount of hours that an officer can work above a 40-hour shift. We will not deviate from that. It gives us an opportunity to have additional resources with trained individuals that understand the challenges that we have in these communities, that they're working in the area that they are presently assigned in, and so that they can extend their shift hours, 4 hours, 2 hours, so that we can have additional bodies, eyes on those to deal with those crimes that we're dealing with.
Since this is a holiday plan that you've done before, any idea how much the total cost is, considering we're starting it early, and where does that money come from?
Well, the general fund funds the majority of our overtime. We do have some additional grants that allow us to provide for crime fighting strategies, and we'll have some of that dollars, but those dollars expire. Make no mistake about it, overtime comes from the general fund taxpayers of this city. And we think that it's a good use of those dollars so that we can solve crime and to be able to keep people safe in their communities.
Any idea of how much it would be?
It'd be difficult to talk about how much it would. I will tell you this, last year during the fourth quarter, while we were dealing with all the protesters, we spent about $8 million to deal with that. I thought that was a good use of $8 million to eliminate some kind of litigation that could have been above 80,000. So $80 million. So I think that we have to figure out what's the best use of the taxpayers' dollars, and I think we do a good job of doing that.
One more question. Last
one
question.
Of the community presidents told me right after this incident occurred with the mom, said that the Midtown area experienced an uptick in July. He said that at that point, APD put in extra patrols. The problem, he says, always comes down to being able to sustain those patrols, because when the extra patrols went away, things got hot again heading into the fall. Any comment on being able to sustain?
Well, let me just say this, Mark. We have the largest police department that we have ever had in our city. We will never be able to have a police officer on every corner 24/7, no matter how large our police department is. So it's important for us to make sure that we look at the challenges that we're seeing on a regular basis, daily basis, and move those additional resources where we think that can be more effective in dealing with crime throughout our city. We have an obligation to protect this entire city, and that's what we plan to do. Now, I will tell you that if you look at the overall numbers in those two beats, they are very, very important for you to understand that those crimes are down. Now, it's important for us to understand when there are high-profile cases, we have to do things differently. We have to visually be different, and that's what I think that you're seeing with this approach to this area. Not just to this area, but throughout the entire city when there are high-profile issues. You've been with us when we've done our street crime canvassing areas, that we bring all of our resources together to be able to deal with a specific problem that we've been able to highlight.
Beth, can you give us 60 seconds for cutaways?
All right.
Oh, they asked if you were going to address the traffic issue. Can we get that one?
Just really quick.
For the weekend.
We have a very, very busy weekend, no different than we've had on multiple weekends thus far this year. We've got the Atlanta Falcons that's in town. We have multiple events at the Phillips Arena. Of course, we have the Gay Pride weekend that actually starts today. We have BET at the Civic Center. And so we have a large crowd. We have, we think, an adequate traffic plan in place. We want to encourage people to use MARTA, use public transportation, to do everything they can to understand that traffic is going to be difficult this weekend. Be patient. do not get frustrated and enjoy yourself throughout the weekend.
Oh boy.
Chief, when you mentioned the high profile, we're just getting a couple extra shots. Are you talking about when it becomes played up by us? Are you talking about the perception that goes out in the community and through Atlanta? Is that what you have to attack, the perception as well as is that what you
Well, obviously, no. We're talking both. Let me just say this. Clearly, we look at those high-profile cases. There's not a morning, unfortunately, that I wake up that there's not a list of things that happen overnight that we have to figure out how to solve those crimes first, and then how we deal with preventing those kinds of issues to take place in the future. And then we deal with the perception piece. Perception is a huge thing to try to combat, because it's what people perceive, and it's not necessarily heaped in a lot of facts. And so what we have to do now is deal with both the reality and the perception that people have. And as you know, the perception become reality in folks' thought process. And so it is important for us to make sure that we deal with all of that. Absolutely. Fear is, I think, heaped in a lot of perceptions that people have. If you look at some of the social media outlets and the information that's flowing back and forth, you don't even know if it's factual information, but people get that and start, they spread it, the story get bigger and bigger. I got a call from a guy and talked about a robbery and a person's finger was taken off. Clearly the person's finger was injured, but then it was severed from the person's body. But clearly that was not factual. But those are the kind of things that happen in some of these sites. I encourage community to simply call our office and let us give them the actual facts associated with crimes that are taking place, so that we can eradicate all of those myths and get the reality out there.
Okay. All right.
And then I want to encourage people to go to the Atlanta Police Department app, and they can keep up with our traffic plan and all of the issues going forward with this weekend. We're doing everything that we can to be as high profile as we can to get that information out as real time as possible.
Do we think that will change between now and then, or there's still discussions going on rerouting?
It could. That's why you need to be there, because anytime that there's a reason for us to reroute, we will post it on our APD app.
So nothing special with the traffic plan, nothing different. It's just the normal big thing.
Yeah,
in the city
nothing different
thing.
compared to what we've done in previous weekends when we have 500 to 600,000 people in town.